Yeah! Welcome to the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. 65 years of four-stroke research and development. They have an exhaust system for your street bike, your dirt bike, your ATV. There will be some new exhaust pipes behind different side number plates this weekend because we are kicking off Monster Energy 250 Supercross East this weekend in Minneapolis. Boy, I'm glad we didn't have Minneapolis last weekend. The weather's going to be really cold this weekend, but it was unbelievably bad polar vortex style a week ago. Can you imagine racing under those circumstances? I know we're in a dome, but last year we had a blizzard in Minneapolis, and it was a disaster. Flights were canceled. I actually drove with the JGR Yoshimura Suzuki team 6 hours from Minneapolis to Chicago. It was actually really fun. But luckily, last week we were in sunny San Diego, known as the best weather in the United States. It never rains in Southern California. What's that? Well, breaking news. They had terrible rain, flash flooding. But don't worry, the track was good. The track crew did everything they could to dry it out. They applied drying agents. Yes, at this point, you probably know what happened. They've been putting lime into these Supercross tracks forever. That includes even the domed events like we're going to have this weekend in Minneapolis. The dirt sits outside. It gets rained on all year. Sometimes they're able to put it underneath a bridge, sometimes on the side of the highway to get it a little less exposure to the elements. But for the most part, Supercross having to deal with wet dirt, whether they're moving wet dirt into a dry domed stadium or dealing with rain on race day or during the build during the week like they did in San Diego. This is something that is as old as time, and they've gotten much better at it. Go to YouTube and watch the Atlanta Supercross from, say, 1994, 1995, and then see what we have in Atlanta these days. They literally turned a track that was just made of giant ruts. I think Jeff Emig used to say the tracks look like combs because it was just grooves all the way across. There are years where Atlanta is hard-packed now. So they've done an excellent job of managing this material. Now, yes, everyone always knew that there was lime in the track, and they knew that lime is not something to be excited about having in the track. This isn't like having ice cream cake. Like, cake's awesome, and having ice cream in it just makes it even better. But it was something that you had to deal with. And from some people I talked to that worked on the Supercross crew back in the day when they were developing this process, once you mix it into the dirt, it's mixed in. Most of the lime is way beneath the surface. People aren't touching it, and what it is touching is really just touching the dirt bike tires. So it really wasn't much cause for alarm. It probably wasn't the best case scenario, but it worked. Then we had the worst case scenario in San Diego. As you folks know, it rained a ton. There apparently was already lime in the dirt from previous events, including Monster Jam that had already been there, and then lime they mixed in while they were trying to build the track. Then they put more lime on it. But from what I've heard, lime works well on moist or damp dirt. You cannot apply it to standing water. And that is what led to the problems. Now, when the race took place, everything seemed fine. It was just another mud race. We've had many of them through the years. The riders were still able to do jumps. It was cool. Mud races every once in a while, you need those. I don't think, in general, there were huge complaints. But by Saturday night, really into Sunday morning, especially with the help of social media, word started to get out that riders were feeling bad. And then they started communicating with each other. And this thing, well, the burns were on them, but the story also spread like wildfire. And it has been difficult actually to write anything about Supercross or San Diego this week because this lime situation, which I'm sure will eventually be known as Limegate, has really usurped it all. I mean, you want to talk about anyone's race, but all anyone really wants to talk about is were they burned? Did they feel it? How did this happen? What can be done? What is going to be done? It has absolutely stolen all the headlines this week. Now, I actually went to college for public relations. That's what my degree is in. I wanted to go into sports broadcasting. I wanted to be a journalist, but my parents said, dude, you're not going to... Sports journalism? Are you kidding me? There's a trillion people that want that job. It's not going to happen. So I went for public relations, assuming that the more behind-the-scenes roles would be more plentiful. But I ended up stumbling into basically doing sports journalism and sports broadcasting anyway. So I haven't had my PR hat on for a long time. But I do have to say, the press release that Feld Entertainment put out on Tuesday evening was PR 101. Look, they're not going to win. You're not going to burn riders' skin and destroy motorcycles and win. And they were able to recognize that. There's no spin that you can possibly do that allows you to look great out of a situation like this. But what they did do is the best thing you can do in this situation. They admitted they messed up. They gave some details as to how they messed up. They even used the word lime in the press release, which I would have put money on them not saying that, but they actually did. They acknowledged that putting it onto standing water was part of the problem, which is absolutely the truth. And then they said they're going to do their best to reach out and try to help everyone. And I did hear that they do plan on calling every single rider that was entered in the San Diego Supercross on the phone and figure out what they can do to try to make this situation right. Now, that doesn't fix the problem. And look, I understand fans are going to be mad, and until they give every privateer $1 million, people are still going to feel like the riders have been wronged in this situation, or they'll still probably say they should just give them $2 million. Again, you can't win in this situation. But PR 101 is you just have to be honest and truthful. The cover-up is always worse than the crime. And I have to applaud the fact that Feld Entertainment did what no one thought they would do. Look, behind the scenes, everyone was buzzing this week, trying to figure out what was going to happen, what was going to be the fallout. I don't know if anyone would have had money on they're going to come out with a press release and say, yes, we messed up. Here's how we messed up. We're going to do what we can to make it right. They were straight up, open, and honest. I have to give them credit for that. No one expected it. And I look back now, I exercised this theory all the time. While I was in college, because I had a little bit of PR expertise, I kept falling into these jobs, essentially in customer service, where I would be yelled at. I was the front man to get yelled at. I worked at a variety of theme parks. That's how I paid my way through school. And you would basically work the window where a dad that paid $400 to bring his children to Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, was mad because it rained and a bunch of rides were shut down and he didn't feel like he got his $400 worth. And he was probably right. So he'd come to the window and he would yell at me and I would just take it. And by not arguing back, it actually helped because it's much harder for someone to say, you're wrong. No, I'm not wrong. Yes, you are. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. In this case, Feld said, you're right. You're right. We're wrong. It's a lot harder to stay angry when somebody admits fault. And I've talked to a couple of riders that have been approached by Feld already. It's going to take a while, by the way, to make 88 phone calls or whatever and source this all out. This PR helped them buy time, which is the first thing they needed, which is great. Everyone that has been approached by them has said they've been very nice, they've been very courteous. And although there are rumors that if you take some of the money they offer, you're going to have to sign some sort of I won't sue you document. I've heard that rumor, but no rider that I've talked to has said that that's actually happened. A couple people said, yes, we were offered $5,000. No, they didn't ask me to sign anything. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if taking it means you essentially do agree to not bring this up ever again, but they didn't come with a check and a document saying, take the money, sign this. So far, everything they have done, at least, has been courteous, it has been respectful, and very nice, and also very honest. And it makes it that much harder to stay mad at them. I know you're not going to win, and I know a lot of fans are still going to be mad. And by the way, this just opens the door to all the other things. It's going to be real easy to say, make the purses bigger, Brock Tickle, all this stuff. So you're not going to win. You're going to bring up a million things. And I think back to many years ago when the AMA decided to get out of the racing business. I know you're saying they are still in the racing business, but they're not as entrenched in racing as you might think. A lot of AMA has actually been sold off the racing side to the folks at Daytona, which are actually connected to NASCAR, that actually operates a lot of AMA racing, not Supercross, but a lot of other AMA racing. I think back to what the AMA president said at the time, and he said, on its best day, a sanctioning body that runs races is controversial. And it is true. If you operate a sports league, whether you're the rule maker or, if you're the NFL, which means you're everything, you're essentially both the promoter and the rule maker at the same time. In this case, we have Feld as the promoter and the AMA and FIM that make the rules. It is true that you're never going to have everyone high-fiving you. It's just like the referees. Like, the best job a referee can do in a sporting event is not mess up. But no one's ever going to shake their hand and say, awesome job not messing up. So that is the nature of the business. If you're Feld, you're never going to win. You're never going to have everyone say everything you do is awesome. But I do feel like they handled this about as well as they could. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to be happy. That doesn't necessarily mean they made it. They soothed everyone's wounds and immediately everyone has fresh, brand new motorcycles for this weekend. But I do want to give credit. I feel like from the PR standpoint, at least, they've done a better job than I think most people expected them to do. And overall, they've done a very good job. That doesn't solve the problem. That's not a win. But it's Very nice to hear them say, yes, we admitted that we messed up, and here's what we messed up. We'll see where this goes from now. There are still some angry riders out there. That's not a surprise. And this could end up being a positive. Again, they're not going to win. They're not going to make everyone happy. That's not possible with the job that these folks are in. But I believe there is a chance that this could open up the type of dialogue that all the riders have been asking for a long time. Maybe this opens up some lines of communication. And it's not like there aren't lines of communication. Like, I guarantee you Ken Roczen has Dave Prater's number. I guarantee you that. And if he calls Dave will talk to him. Dave's a good dude. Dave's kind of overseer of Supercross. Todd Gendro, Mike Mewey, those are good dudes. I'm sure if the riders want to talk to them, they talk to them. It's not like there isn't any communication at all, but there is certainly not a unified front. And I don't mean a collective bargaining agreement or a union. What I do mean is there isn't a designated, if we have this obstacle on the track and we're not sure about it, who do we go to? There's just 80-some different riders and, a dozen different teams? Maybe this leads to some sort of centralized communication that makes it a little bit easier to fix things in the future. I don't believe this Lime issue is ever going to happen again. I seriously doubt that'll ever happen again. So they don't really need better communication to fix that. But maybe this situation is the catalyst. It's the leverage, so to speak, that the riders and teams have always needed to be able to say, look, we need something to be different, and here's our proof that something needs to be different, so let's come up with a scenario. I don't think it's going to lead to a union. I don't think that's what these riders are asking for. I mean, maybe some of them would like it, but I don't think that's their only goal or the only goal they will be happy with. I think they just want the communication to be more centralized. Yes, they can call. Yes, they can get answers if they want. The people at Supercross have been running these races for a long time. I started going to Supercross in 2001. Todd Gendro and Dave Prater were there then. They're there now. That's a long time. They are definitely familiar faces, and the key people have their phone numbers. But it's just easier when it's coming from one group instead of 80 different riders, and maybe that leads to that. If anything, some time has been purchased, and that's the best thing about this. They can't hide and just not acknowledge the situation. They acknowledged it. They apologized. They said they're going to make it right, and that gives them time to really work on it and try to figure out a way to make things better, because you're not going to do that overnight. It will be interesting, though, to see how things go this weekend in Minneapolis, because, look, with all the snow and rain that they get in Minneapolis and all the cold, I mean, the dirt's going to be frozen. It just, even if it hadn't been rained on, even if it was under a tarp or it was under a bridge, the dirt got frozen. We know that you get frost every night when the temperatures are cold. The dirt's going to have some level of moisture in it, and when it moves into the building, it's going to be thawing out. So they've got to find a way to dry that out. That is going to be a very tricky scenario to deal with, number one. And number two, let's see what happens when all these riders and teams come back together face-to-face and come back face-to-face with Feld and the track builders and the AMA and the FIM and all that. It will be interesting to see how it works this weekend. But boy, if that press release had not come out, boy, if Prater and Mewey and all those folks were not making phone calls this week, it would have been unbelievably tense this weekend. Because we all know how things fester behind each other's back. It's really easy to get fired up and say things behind people's back. In this case, Feld went a little more public. They called the riders. They've talked to riders. They put out the press release to explain their position. That goes a long way. That's PR 101. That's what I learned in school. It was refreshing to see it. Doesn't make this a win. Doesn't fix the entire scenario. But it definitely made things better. So good job with that. Bad job with the Lime. I think that's pretty obvious. All right, let's get on to this week's podcast. Podcast. Yeah, now on to the show. This week's interview on the Racer X Exhaust podcast is with Justin Barcia and his new wife, Amber. Now, I actually recorded this interview at Anaheim 2. This is information for a magazine story that just hit in Racer X Illustrated, an exclusive feature. Now, Barcia is just part of it. It's really about Team Yamaha, the story I wrote. And a lot of the information I got was from team manager Jim Perry, who has been there a long, long time. And I talked to Perry about Chad Reed being on the team and Cooper Webb being on the team and rebuilding the team, which didn't even operate for about 5 years, came back in 2015. So I talked to him about all that, and a lot of the story is about Perry and Yamaha bringing the factory team back in general. So if you listen to this podcast, you still need to read the magazine story because there's a lot of juicy details about Chad Reed's time there when the team was rebuilding, and also Perry's opinion on Cooper Webb, which is still very good. You want to read about things like that. The only way to get it is in Racer X Illustrated. Go to racerxonline.com/subscribe. As for Barcia, I just figured he's just part of the team. He's just one of their good riders now, and same thing with Plessinger. The team's getting better. Barcia's getting better. The results are good. They won Anaheim 1. Barcia's in a whole better place than he was 2 years ago for sure. But Perry actually named Barcia as a significant catalyst. His maturity, his leadership, his attitude really helped bring the team forward. It's not just that Barcia is a talented rider or worked hard and the team worked hard and the bikes are great, all that cliche stuff. It's not just that. Barcia's attitude has made a big difference in the attitude of everyone else around him. True leadership from Barcia. So I was really intrigued by that. And also Jim Perry, the team manager, gave credit to Barcia's new wife, Amber, also for helping keep Justin in the right frame of mind. And then when he's in the right frame of mind, it reflects on the way he treats everyone else and reflects on the direction that the team pulls. Now, when I completed this interview, Barcia had won Anaheim 1, struggled at Glendale. You hear him talk about how they reacted to the struggles at Glendale and how much better they were taking that sixth-place finish than maybe the way he would have reacted to a sixth-place finish in the past. Now, since then, we know how Barcia's season has gone. He crashed out of Anaheim 2, the final of the Triple Crown main events, lost some points. Looked like he was going to rebuild things pretty well. He salvaged points with a bruised tailbone in Oakland, and I think would have been a shoo-in for a podium in San Diego. He's a good mud rider, and he was right up there, top 3 early in the race, but his bike broke. So in this interview, you will hear Barcia talk a lot about trying to ride out the highs and the lows. He won Anaheim 1. Look where he is now. That's going to serve him well the way this 2019 season has gone. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. A lot of maturity from Justin Barcia, as you'll hear in this interview. Real quick, shout out to Racer X Brand. Go to racerxbrand.com. 20% off your order. Type in exhaust in all capital letters. We got t-shirts, hats, backpacks, and the podcast t-shirt. Now, let's talk to Justin Barcia and his wife Amber in the pits at Anaheim. Yeah, so your team manager says that he thinks one of the big keys is that you come in and you keep things team-oriented. It's not you and them, it's let's work together on this, even if it's a problem. Is that something you've consciously done?
Because like him, I can just like...
Does it come with maturity, or have you always been like that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I always try to be cool, but...
Yeah.
It's definitely come with age.
Yeah.
And experience and difficult times to learn it because, it hasn't always been like that for sure. So with coming in like as an underdog onto this team and fill-in guy, it taught me a lot of respect and, how to work with people. And, and if we can all work together, it's way, way, way easier. So I feel like, I've learned a lot in my career. I wish, what I knew now, I knew years ago. So, it's pretty cool to be able to keep a calm head even when things are, not going great. Like last weekend, for instance, in Phoenix, it was like the most difficult day ever for me. But we learned so much from that day that we obviously wish we could rewind and do things differently, but we learned so much and we can move on and talk about it and because in the past I would have just went upstairs to my bunk, threw my shit in a bag, and left.
After the race.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
So instead of being that guy, be more of a calm, cool, collective guy and take the bad night and make a positive out of it in a way.
Right.
So, definitely been maturing a lot.
Yeah, so it helps more. You got to discuss what you thought instead of just leaving.
Yeah.
Which doesn't
help at all.
Yeah.
And then even if you talked about it on a Monday or something, it's not all there. You're not going to remember everything. So I think definitely just try to be calm through all the ups and downs because we know how many ups and downs there are.
Anaheim 1, you didn't even seem like you were partying. You won for the first time in 6 years. You had the points lead, and it wasn't like, oh my God, you're doing cartwheels and backflips.
No, I mean, I was. Don't get me wrong, I was so happy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I believed that I could do that, and there's no reason to have these huge spikes.
Right.
Whoa, that was sick, and then last weekend it could have been like a super low. So you go these highs and lows, and I don't know. For me, I believe just now, because I was like that, highs and lows.
Yes.
And it's just such a long season, and if you're highs and lows every weekend, it'll drain you. It'll drain the life out of you.
I see.
So
I see.
It will really. I feel like. So for me, I feel like just take the good with the bad, and just try to be happy always.
So last week, was it just Maine, or was it the whole day? I mean, practice times weren't great, and the heat
it was
great,
the whole
but
day.
You felt it the whole day.
Yeah, I went in there feeling pretty good in the morning, and then right away I overrode the track, and I felt like I just couldn't get comfortable all day, and made some changes, but I think we maybe went a little bit in the wrong direction. But my riding got better all day, but it was too late, and I feel like I didn't make the right changes on the bike really, and didn't give good enough feedback to make those changes. I sometimes your guys feed off you when you come back, and I was just I was trying to say the right things, but sometimes you just don't say the right things, and I think we went a little bit in the wrong direction, but we know what we did, and we can move on from that. But and then physically I felt, I don't know, it was just a weird day. I felt a little bit off all day, and being a little bit off in this series right now, when it's so competitive and it's right at the beginning of the series, it'll be costly, so need to definitely try to minimize those days.
Do you actually feel like 6th when you could easily get 10th in this field? Is there a little positive, like, hey, I was only 6th, I could have been way worse?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously I could have been way better, and I could have been way worse, but all in all I salvaged. I don't know, if I go back 3 years ago, there's a good chance I really could have thrown the 6th place away, because I could have tried to override even more, and got tight and went back even further. So it was a comfortable 6th.
If you can say that, right.
So kind of stupid, but I mean, we got through it, and we're healthy, and just move on from it.
So is last week, as the day goes on, is that a perfect example of the way you were trying to, hey, the way I say it is going to affect all these people? Would you have handled that differently 5 years ago? A day like last week's practices and stuff?
Yeah, I probably would have just shut down.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like, probably would have just shut down, and or thrown it at the team like, hey, you guys need to figure this out.
Right.
So, that's just not a good way to go about it. So, I feel like I handled it well last weekend, but, we definitely learned some stuff with it, with the bike, and, some upcoming races, we're going to have some similar conditions, like San Diego gets a little bit slick and stuff, so we already are, in a way, kind of ahead of things. So,
I see.
It's kind of, take the good with the bad.
It is crazy, though, how, I mean, you've been on the team for 2 seasons, or whatever you want to call it now, and you've ridden millions of laps.
Yeah.
Then you can still get in a situation where you're trying to, we don't know exactly what to do. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was weird because, the test track every year usually gets that slick, hard, track like that. But this year, with the weather and stuff, it kind of stayed a bit moist and rutted. Yeah. And we didn't have any ruts last weekend. It was just really slick and hard packed. So I felt like we didn't ride that stuff at all. Yeah. Which, it was frustrating. Yeah, it was really frustrating because I was just kicking myself, wish we could have did something, but it was you still find you'd like to think your bike will be good everywhere, but it's just not how it works in the sport, and
not that level. You know what I mean? You're talking 1%.
Yeah. I mean, the bike was fine. Yeah. But when you're talking about tenths, it's not.
Are you still California this whole time like you were last year? Did you spend most of the off season out here?
Yeah, I've just been here. I went home for Christmas for 2 days.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm ready to miss my dogs and family and stuff in the tracks, but it's good to be out here with the team, because even then again, I feel like I've learned a lot just being out here with the team, testing and stuff like that. I wouldn't be able to do the same thing in Florida if I was there. So all in all, I feel like it's been a benefit for me to stay out here. But there's obviously times where you're like, oh man, I really miss home. So, but just gotta sacrifice some things to
Well, that's it. Like, so you did most of the off season in California last year too, right?
Yeah.
Was that the most you'd ever?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know you did your California time, but never that much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. I never had. Well, I shouldn't. I didn't like California.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I never had an issue with it, but I always wanted to be home because it's my comfort zone. But
Right.
When I was at Honda Versailles, they didn't really care if I was out here like
Right.
full time. Well, at least they didn't force me to
Yeah.
be here. And like JGR, obviously, I was North Carolina, and then with Yamaha, they were they kind of want me here.
Yeah.
So we worked out where they helped me a little bit more, like
It's so much fun. Yeah.
money wise to stay out here all year long, which is awesome because it just shows that they want to work hard,
Right.
and they're putting in the effort, and it's a lot of extra work to have a rider, in my opinion, in California, because my race mechanic, he has to work double time,
Yeah.
and the guys in the shop have to work double time. So I feel everyone's putting in the effort, and for me, like, why wouldn't I be here to work with the guys? It's a no-brainer.
But would you? Is that another sign of maturity? Like, if you guys think this is best, I'll do it.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
before you were a little bit like, no, I know what's best. Florida's best.
Yeah, yeah,
That is a difference.
100%.
Really?
100%. Yeah,
Wow.
it's all. Yeah, like I said, I wish I would have did this stuff back in the day because I would have been, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, but
Right.
It's
hard to say. You can't just say I would have been better.
I would have been better if I stayed out here. Like,
You
and
don't
did
know that
this.
for sure.
You don't know that for sure,
Right.
but I feel like it would have been.
Really?
Now,
Okay.
yeah, it could just it would have been better. But I didn't. I wish I had someone around. Like, your parents. You listen to your parents, but at the same time, my parents were like, "You gotta go stay in California." My parents want me to be home, so I needed someone
I
to
see.
say, "Hey, maybe you should stay in California." Like, because I grew up at MTF, it was like anti-California.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Yep.
they want us there.
Yeah.
So I always had that mentality, like, here's better, Georgia,
Right.
Florida, better.
Right, right.
Like caveman, better here. But at the end of the day, you're in such in a comfort zone that you need to break out of it and be out of the comfort zone a bit.
Okay, so what are things that you're able to get out of being here? Like, is it? I don't even know how you test when you're in Florida. It's got to be way easier here.
You usually you just fly out here for a couple of days and
Yeah.
go home. But the tracks are different, things are different. So okay, test this, it's a good setup. Then you go home and it's a little off. Then it's like, I gotta fly back out there, but you don't want to fly back out to California again. So it's just like you deal with it.
Oh.
You just deal with the
Oh.
issues. But I think out here, riding with your teammates a little bit, riding with some different guys at the test track, and just being around your team more is the biggest benefit in it.
And yeah, your teammate sounds like you guys are vibing pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. Me and Aaron get along really well. It's cool to have someone young and excited. He brings a lot of excitement to the team. He's happy kid. So it's it's fun. In the past I've had teammates where it was just like, So this is it's good to have someone that's excited, and we're gonna also when we go back East Coast, we're gonna ride together in Florida and be good. Yeah.
You've always been super competitive as far as I'm not trying to be friends with the guys I'm racing with.
Yeah.
Did that apply also sometimes to teammates? Like, there are definitely some teammates you got along with.
Yeah.
We saw that.
Yeah, there's
but was there
also
always
ones-
a little bit there?
Yeah, there's always a little bit there for sure, and it was, like I said, it's always things you grow out of and grow
Yeah.
up out of it. But yeah, there was always like some teammates you kind of butted heads with and just wanted to beat them always, and it could hurt you in a way.
Right.
So yeah, definitely, getting along with a teammate is a good thing, and I think. I wouldn't say like I want to be like friends with everyone on the track,
Yeah.
but in a way, I think it seems like this year everyone has decent like respect for each other.
Yeah.
And like even last weekend I had like a little issue with Wilson, and it was like just so stupid. And,
Yeah.
And like the TV guys made a big deal out of
Yeah,
it
they
when
did. Yep.
when it wasn't at all.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think he'd maybe say the same thing. And we did like an Alpine Star thing yesterday. I seen him, and it was a little awkward.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're grown men. Put it aside. Let's just go racing.
It wasn't like it was between you two in the 250 days.
I would not like to think so.
Okay. In your opinion, at least.
Yeah. No. So I think you just gotta, at least for me, I like to just be on a level playing field and try not to hold grudges, and but at the end of the day, we'll rough each other up, to make good racing, and you gotta have some excitement.
Yeah, we like it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your wife's role here. Now, first of all, how did you guys meet? She's English. Did
Yeah.
you meet her in the international races, or how did that work?
Yeah, we met in Geneva, probably 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And, we just stayed in touch, kept talking, and really hit it off. And
how often would you see each other though? Like actually in person?
Yeah, it was difficult. We had to, that's the thing with it. We really had to put some serious effort into it to make it work, and it was good. We didn't see each other.
We're talking about you now.
Talking about you.
Talking about you.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to do interviews? Can you do that? Can you talk? You cool?
Yeah, she talks. All right.
I was just like, so yeah, how often would you even see each other in person?
Yeah, at first it was difficult. Like, shoot, in England and I'm, California or Florida or wherever. But, we did. I got hurt before Supercross the 1 year. And so Amber flew here for a little bit, and then I flew to England with her parents, and we definitely had to put in the effort and the traveling and things like that. But yeah, there was definitely hard times where we couldn't see each other for a long, months at a time. So it was difficult. But
yeah, didn't you? I remember last year or 2 years ago saying it'd be like, oh yeah, I won't see her for 6 months.
Yeah, it was
something
difficult.
like that.
And then
we thought it was going to be a long.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a really long
Yeah.
time, but. And with the government nowadays, trying to get visas and things like that, it's so difficult. So yeah, she's stuck here now.
You can't go back, right?
At the moment, can't go back. So yeah, now she's stuck with me. No choice. But it was a relationship that could have not worked because it was so hard. Yeah. But it really worked easy for us, and I don't know, we just made the best out of the situations. Just like racing, all these things.
Yes.
It's just like in racing or life or relationship. It's you have to put in the work, but when it comes to easy, it's really nice.
And even the injuries that you had, which I'm sure you didn't want to have, that almost gave you a little extra time when you needed it.
Yeah, it did. And mentally, when I met Amber, I was in a super bad spot. It was around, she was around at the end of my JGR thing, and it was I didn't want to race anymore, and mentally I was I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when she came in, she helped me a lot with that, which was cool.
I would think the awesome thing for you would be sweet, don't race, man.
Yeah,
sweet. Why didn't you just say that?
Well, just because I knew that he wouldn't have been happy. With
really?
Definitely. Yeah. That was the main thing. If he'd have turned around to me on that day and been that's it, I'm done. It's fine, but I knew he wouldn't be happy doing that.
Okay.
And he'd regret not giving it another chance. So
I see.
Yeah.
You could have just had him move to England and never get injured again.
Would have been easier for me.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah.
But you just knew it wouldn't work out.
Who knows how it would have worked? We didn't know I would be in this position.
Yeah.
When I stopped riding at JGR and didn't have a ride, it was who knows what's going to happen next? But we put in the effort and the work and got back to here now, so it was all worth it. But at the end of the day, we didn't know.
No, it was a big race spot.
Yeah. Okay. Now you have a degree in psychology, that I heard.
Yes.
Are you almost getting free mental coaching here?
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah, it was. Especially when I was struggling bad. It was.
We had to do a lot of just resetting with just kind of confidence, really, wasn't it? It was more confidence,
it was more just
resetting confidence.
More beat down for me, and she didn't necessarily sit me down and
analyze
or anything.
Okay.
But she just, I didn't know what was going on really, but I guess it worked. So.
You didn't have him laying on the couch $50 an hour or $500 an hour.
Not exactly. But yeah, it was a lot of just trying to help him with his mindset and get back to being confident and really believing in himself. I think that was the main thing when he wanted to retire. He'd lost all confidence and didn't really know if he could do it. Well, I knew he could, so just restore his belief in himself, really.
And are you actually applying things that you learned in college?
Crazily,
it does work.
Yeah,
really?
It does really work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I did a lot of work previously, in universities and stuff, mentoring and stuff, and it does really, really work. So we did apply a few things, and it seemed to kind of get him there. So
wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
So the team I was telling him, the team is giving him a lot of credit for even when things go wrong, nobody blames anyone. We stay positive, work together. Yeah. Is that part of this process that you guys have learned that have helped?
I don't know. I think a little bit, but also he's matured so much, and I think he really does see the bigger picture. And I think that is the main thing that of why he's more positive with everything. I don't think I'm the be-all and end-all of it.
Yeah.
But I give Amber a lot of credit, and she deserves it because she helped me a lot, because I was in a just super bad spot. But I think just over the years of taking the good with, I never really took the good and the bad. When I was at JGR, it was just for me, it was so frustrating. And so mentally, I felt so bad, but I guess it really, I don't know. It was just, just a weird time and a weird place in my life. So I feel like I learned so much from, going from like a really high to really low, and then now that I'm here and comfortable, I've just learned to be more on a level playing field, I guess you could say.
Does the team rely on you a little bit of that, like on the rough days or the good days, either way? Like,
I don't really know.
I think Jimmy jokes on a lot for sure.
Okay,
like he says stuff like that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, really get on with the team and love the team. They're a really good support.
It's crazy. So. Like at JGR, I was like a family kind of. Like I really hung out with everyone and enjoyed them. And this is like, super professional, and like we just like really, we're here to do the job, and we all just like are on. I don't know. It just feels like we're all on the same playing field. Like, like say back in the day, like if I got down, and then you could tell the other guys would get weird or something. And
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now it's like, I don't know. We all just stay on like.
And they are really, really positive, which is so much help. Like even on the really tough days, they are stay super positive about everything, and
just always trying to make things better if it's not going well. So I think the biggest thing for me is just good home life, obviously, but the team, like, just a super good relationship, and a lot of they've been around a long time. Like a lot of these guys have been around a long time, and a few of them are going to start retiring soon, I feel like, and stuff like that. But all in all, like it's just a lot of super smart people. And then at the same time, when people are at a position a long time, they can get stubborn and stay in their ways. But I feel like we've balanced that and like are able to try things and do things, so it's good.
What's your motocross background? Did you know much about this?
No, nothing.
No,
actually, when we first met, I actually asked him, like when we went on our first date, if he's actually any good on a bike. That's how much knowledge I have about the sport.
At the time, I was like I'm actually kind of shit right now. So I was kind of like, I'm all right. Like, great.
I have.
This is the confidence thing you needed to work on.
Yeah.
It was good.
So I was like, I'm all right. I get by.
You knew he was at least a professional in the field.
Yeah, I knew that much, but like no background to it. Didn't know a thing about it. So literally, like the first year, I think when we were dating, it was a lot for me to kind of learn what actually he does and what goes into it and everything like that. So,
Did you even know it was like this is a 24/7 job? Did you even necessarily know it was this all-encompassing, and that's what makes it so hard mentally? Yeah. Your whole life is based on your results.
Yeah,
Did you not even know that?
Not a clue.
She didn't know she's getting into it.
Didn't know how much work goes into it, how like even through the week he's working constantly, like every minute, and didn't know anything about it.
Even
really.
like recovery and like it's not necessarily we're training every second of the day, but even recovery at the same time, it's like you can't always go do things. So like it's but it doesn't last forever. We hopefully
that's true.
Quite a few good more years in us, and then we could go do whatever we want to do.
Yeah, you told me last year you're actually training-wise, it's not as gnarly as what you were doing.
No, but it's like actually harder because my nutrition and like diet and like things like that and recovery and stuff, like it's a lot of effort goes into, instead of like training wide open, there's more pieces to it now.
Right.
So it's actually a lot more hard work, like making sure going to bed like at the right time and eating the right things, and like there's a lot more that actually goes into it now. So it's a big job. You can never just do what you feel like doing. It's always based on I mean, you have to listen to your body for sure. Yeah. But and you also have a program in place, but I don't think you just got to do what your body tells you a little bit. And I've learned that a lot as well, because before I had no idea, I just trained wide open nonstop and probably be way overtrained. I think I've always been like overtrained throughout my whole career. Yeah, overtrained. Like so, being overtrained is worse than being undertrained. I've learned, and like I for sure definitely overtrained for years and years and years, and always like would hit a spot and just full on crash. So right now, at least I like feel like I'm always recovered and I can always building. So it's good.
So is this going to be the longest stretch that you guys have ever literally had together? Like now you're officially, because has it always been starts and stops? Your whole relationship?
We got married, and then Did you come right back with me? You stayed
no,
there?
No, I stayed for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so we got married, and I came back, to test and things like that.
Yeah.
And we didn't see each other again until Geneva. And then from Geneva, we've been together since then full time. So yeah, it's pretty much
crazy when you say it like that. Like,
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
no, it's okay though, right?
Oh yeah.
No, it's good, but
better than ever.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
My last thing is, how did this start? Like, you knew the Yamaha guys, obviously, with JJR a little bit.
Yeah.
Did they call you, or did you call them? What started this whole thing last year around Monster Cup time? Six Time even said he recommended you call. I don't know if that's actually true.
I didn't really put any calls out to anyone. No. I was just like, I deserve a ride. I'm not like being arrogant, but I was like, something will come up. But for me, for the Monster Cup, we put together this team and we traveled out to California and we were testing.
Yeah.
And I got a call from Yamaha, and they're like, "Hey, you want to race our bike this weekend?"
Yeah.
And I said, I think I said I needed more guarantee because so many people put so much hard work and effort. So it kind of went quiet after that for a while, and I was just doing my own thing back in Florida and riding the Honda, whatever. And finally, I got a call like, "Hey, you want to come do a tryout?" And I ended up staying for a few weeks testing and signing for a few races.
Yeah.
And then the rest is kind of history.
So they did call you even for Monster Cup. That's what started the.
Yeah, that's what started
it.
Yeah. So,
you guys are happy.
Yeah,
it's amazing how it's all worked out.
Yeah, they took a lot of risk, I think, picking me up, but at the same time, for me, I was never really happy with the old Yamaha when I was at JGR, so it was like I was taking a risk as well because I was like, oh, this thing's so difficult, but luckily for both of us,
as soon as you jumped on there, and I know even the production bike changed in between there.
Yeah.
Did it seem okay? This is a lot better than I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It was the Yamaha went through a huge change to be a lot better.
Right. And you always did get along with these guys, even in the JGR days.
Yeah,
it seemed like, right?
Yeah, I pretty much got along with all the factory guys. I always wanted more help.
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily able to get the help that I wanted when I was at JGR from the factory team. They helped us a bit, but it was always a little bit of I wouldn't say they didn't want to, but it was always a little bit of we know what we're doing
right,
kind of thing
right.
with JGR and Yamaha, so that was difficult. But I've always got along with everyone pretty well.
Cool.
So that's the Yamaha story with Barcia. I would certainly say these first couple of rounds of 2019 have put them all to the test. They've had the best and the worst of times. It apparently wasn't anyone's fault, actually, the bike problem over the weekend in San Diego. Mathis found out that something got wrapped in the chain and sprocket. The bike got stuck. That's why Barcia burned his clutch out so early in the race. Something like that. So it wasn't a mechanical problem. It wasn't rider error. But either way, they are riding those situations out together. And the good news is, at least, even if there's some major damage in the points, at least we have Barcia still racing, and he's still a threat to win any weekend. So this could be interesting. It has been a wild early season. As always, around round 5, it starts to compact the number of contenders, the riders that you expect to win races. It never maintains the absolute craziness of the early rounds. But the guys who have won, like Barcia and Baggett, they're still racing. They're still healthy. They're still threats every weekend. That makes it that much more exciting. Thanks to Yoshimura, our sponsor. Check them out. 65 years of four-stroke research and development. Go to yoshimura-rd.com to check out everything they have for their for your bike. And I'm going to fire one up right now. I'm going riding. We have beautiful weather here in Charlotte, and that weather is about to go away. So I am going to hop on my motorcycle and ride on a Thursday afternoon. Don't tell anyone in the office. Probably spitting out their coffee as they edit this podcast and post it. Go to racerxbrand.com, 20% off your order. Type in exhaust in all capital letters. And most importantly, check out the newest issue of Racer X Illustrated. It has Blake Baggett on the cover. It has the complete Yamaha story within it. Like I said, these Barcia quotes are just a small part of the story. It's a much bigger picture as far as Yamaha's return to factory racing. Reed, Webb, Plessinger, all that. Go to racerxonline.com/subscribe. Or if you go to the races, you can subscribe right there. We got the booth in the pits. That's it. I'll see you in Minneapolis, folks. I'm putting my jacket on after I ride my motorcycle. It's going to be cold. Will it be wet? We don't know. See you next week.